It's the dairy capital of the United States. Okay. Okay. Wisconsin. So he said, tell me about your family in Wisconsin. How'd you grow up? He said, we grew up on a farm. What kind of farm? A dairy farm. But we had other things too. We had other animals and we had grain and whatnot. But you know, the weather was mainly dairy farm. And the guy got this faraway look in his eyes that the doctor thought, you know, we're onto something. So he said, tell me about your childhood. Oh, he was the fourth child in the family. He was a little guy. He had 3 older sisters who did everything, okay? And with fondness, he talked about his happy childhood on the farm and his bossy sisters, as he called them, right? His bossy sisters telling him what to do. But he was daddy's little boy and he was mommy's baby, okay? And in describing his mom, he got that nostalgic look that said, you know, I loved my mom. I loved my mom. And then he got a sad look on his face and the doctor noticed and said, what's going on? What do you remember? He said, no, well, you know, we were having such a good time on the farm. I remember it with so much fondness. But just when I was 9 years old, my mom developed cancer.
I saw something drop.
She died.
I saw your thing.
And life was never the same since.
Oh, it's right there.
Well, what happened was the mom died. The dad, you know, courted other women. The daughters did not approve. Okay, they couldn't remain on the farm. They went into the city, and so their whole life changed over this event. But he remembered his mom, and he was talking about, you know, how things were. He would always get into trouble with his sisters, and then the sisters would be after him, and he would run into the kitchen where mom was, and mom was always in the kitchen making something good for the family. Right? And he'd run up to her, and he would grab her by her legs, right, around her legs, and that would be protection from the sisters. Okay? And the mom usually would stoop down and scoop him up. And if he had some hurt or something, she'd give it a big kiss like all good moms do, right? I tell you, it has to be a really big hurt to not be pacified by a mom's kiss. Right? And then she wouldn't let him leave that kitchen without doing a little ritual. He would wash his hands and he would put them into a jar of cookies. And he would take out his very own cookie. And then she would go to the refrigerator and she would give him a nice tall glass of milk. You see, this man, now he is in his 30s. His whole life programming has been, when things get hard, I look for milk and cookies. Okay? Now, you might think, doctor, this is an exaggeration. You know, he didn't know that this is what he was doing. But as the story unfolded, here is what was going on. When he had deadlines at the office, deadlines to meet, and things were going hard, he could not bring himself to tell his family, look, I'm going on a milk binge. So what he would do is he had a route to take on his way home. His wife knew when he left work and what time he usually would get home. She also knew about traffic. So he would take an alternate route and he would stop by a 7-Eleven and he would buy milk and he would buy a pack of cookies and he would go behind a junior high school where he would park and nobody could see his car. And he would sit there and he would eat the cookies and drink the milk. And then in the dumpster, he would bury the evidence. It would take CSI to find that out, right? And then he would drive home as if nothing had happened. He couldn't bring himself to tell the family what he was doing. But I tell you, that's the worst kind of person. He was a closet milk drinker. No, just teasing. He was playing out a life story because this comfort for him was a psychological benefit. It was helping him to meet the things of life. We sometimes use food in the wrong way as a crutch. And if we don't recognize that this is something that we do, we may not get the help that we need and use the help that's available to us to take care of this. You see what I'm saying? When the going gets tough, the tough fall on their knees. True or false? That's what it should be. Where do we get our help from? From God. Now this guy was a Christian, but he was recurring to his food. His food was giving him solace. And listen, this is very complex. As I have talked about this and analyzed the situation. You know, his mom was telling him that this is okay. When things are hard, I'll give you milk and cookies. Milk and cookies solve a lot of problems. Okay? Now, do you think she was meaning to tell him this? No, she was meaning to comfort him. She loved him. What else? If somebody tells me that milk is bad, you are putting a person against the memory of his mom. His mom wouldn't tell him to do something that's bad. So he had what we call in psychological terms, he had cognitive dissonance. He had, you know, do I believe what mom said or do I believe what the... And you know, the doctor, with a stroke of genius, okay, told him, if your mom were still alive and she knew that milk was causing you problems, what would she tell you? And he said, she'd tell me to stop the milk. He said, okay, your mom is giving you permission to stop the milk. You don't have to do this anymore. That made a change in this man's life because he had a script on the inside that he was following. The memory of his mom. You see, food is not just nutrition. Food is also consolation. And we all may have a touch of comfort from eating certain things. My wife knows which things I really, really am comforted by. Thank God I don't have to be comforted by food, and that's a regular kind of issue. It's not to say that you can't have things that you like and that you enjoy and that you eat, but if it's doing you harm, then you have to weigh that in the balance. Is it worth it to be harmed by something or to use food in an inappropriate way? Okay? But then there's something else about food. I'm going to give you another word play, okay? I'll count to 3, I'll call a word and you tell me. Ready? Ready? Back there, you ready? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Movies.
Popcorn.
I tell you. Why did you say that? Popcorn. Let me tell you, we develop certain habits, okay? Did you say popcorn? I got you this time. We develop certain habits. Back in the days when they used to have drive-in movies, the young people have no idea what that is. Right? But when they had drive-in movies, at intermission, there was always this big thing, right, of, you know, your favorite cola, right, whatever that was for the day, and popcorn. As a matter of fact, you couldn't go to any of these places if you didn't grow up Christian or Seventh-day Adventist, as I didn't. As a matter of fact, my father was in the movie industry. So I grew up with popcorn and movies. Okay? As a matter of fact, you go to these places and the smell of hot buttered popcorn, it's kind of what made the place. Right? So much so that in the heyday of videos, one company decided, I'll tell you the name was Blockbuster. They decided that renting a video was no longer just, I'm going to rent a video and take it home. No, they wanted to create the entire experience. So they introduced into their outlets popcorn machines, okay, and candies. They would sell goobers and raisinets, just like movie houses would sell goobers and raisinets. And you know what? Their sales went off the charts. So much so that another company decided, you know what? They're onto something. Let's do something similar. So they had a whole production, as if you were going to the movies in reality, and they called that one Hollywood, right? It was a Hollywood rental outlet. They worked on the marketing to get people to think about the whole experience, okay? Now you may notice where Blockbuster had their outlets. It was usually in strip malls, because they also recognized something. As people moved more towards the home scene, right, from the theater scene, there were things that people did when they went to get their movie. They'd get the movie, rent the video, and they would go over to the pizza place and they would buy pizza. So today, there are people who associate videos at home with pizza, not necessarily with popcorn. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Don't raise your hand. Okay? So they say, let's watch a movie and get some pizza. See? They figured it out. This is what people are doing. Therefore, they positioned themselves close to pizza parlors. As a matter of fact, I was a watcher of people. When we lived in Pennsylvania, I observed this. We parked outside the supermarket while my wife is going in the shop. And I would sit in the car, oftentimes doing work, and I'm looking. And cars would pull up, and they would dispatch, okay? One person would head to the pizza place, and the other one would head to the video store, right? Save time, see? And then in a few minutes, they converge back on the car, and shoo, they're gone, right? The pizza. Because we develop certain habits. There are habits that people have when they watch television. Yes, yes, yes. Some people cannot watch television unless they eat. They watch a television and they're eating. As a matter of fact, they can't wait for commercials. Because when the commercial comes, they have two places that they go, two doors. Okay? And this is not door A and door B. Okay? One of those doors is the bathroom. Okay? I guess in today's day, with all the different technology, you don't have to miss anything. You can put everything on pause and go and do something what you wanted to do. But that was one of the doors that they went to. They went to the bathroom. Okay? And the second door they went to is the refrigerator. They go to the refrigerator, find something, bring it out, and okay, right? And while they're watching, they're eating, right? There are some people who cannot watch something without eating because they have made an association and it's become a habit. So if you are interested in changing your relationship with food, if you are looking for a balanced diet, okay, you're looking for healthy nutrition, you have to come face to face with this. The food is not just nutrition, that food is also habituation. We have to break the habit. And that's hard, that's right. And one of the ways to break a habit is you have to substitute with something else, something more wholesome. And in some cases, you may have to get rid of the thing altogether. Now, how does that sound to you? Get rid of the thing altogether. And that brings us to the next point. And the next point is looking at one of the reasons or one of the contexts why we don't make the changes that we know we need to make. Okay? Let me draw here for you the Zeno Charles Marcell version of an iceberg.